What's up, everybody? Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm your host, Robert Durden, and this is episode 2 of the day. We're going to talk about the PRO Act and how the PRO Act is maybe the most important piece of legislation we could pass, and certainly under Joe Biden, and it might even be more important than the $15 minimum wage or something like a public option or even Medicare for all. And I'm going to explain that to you in a second, and then I'm going to give you a battle plan, because there's only a couple people standing in the way, and there's a couple of ways that we can do this. And I think we should probably try to do all of them at once and just see if any of them work. So if you guys have been hearing a lot about the filibuster and budget reconciliation on this show and other shows, the PRO Act is probably not going to make it through in this current bill, these 2 or 3 bills, the Families Plan, the Jobs Plan, because if they use budget reconciliation on them, like they did with the last bill that they passed, the Parliamentarian is going to strip out the PRO Act. And we already know that. And right around the time Joe Manchin signed on to it was right when they were kind of figuring it out that Elizabeth McDonough was going to strip it out. So that's the way it could die if they try to do it through budget reconciliation. The PRO Act likely won't get in the other way either, which is if you do it through normal order, meaning you need 60 votes in the Senate to pass it, because the Republicans will filibuster until it's stripped out. So there's 2 ways to get it included in one of these plans. And remember, guys, Joe Manchin is signed on to it. Joe Biden is the PRO Act, and he's generally more pro-union than I even knew, which is a good thing. If he's on board and Manchin's on board, then who's standing in our way? Okay, there's only 3 senators that are Democratic that have said that they're not going to vote for the PRO Act. And that is Mark Warner, Kyrsten Sinema, and Mark Kelly. So both the senators from Arizona, and Mark Warner, I think is Virginia. And I've mentioned these 3 names before on the show, but I want to remind you guys, that's who's standing in the way. If we could just get Joe Biden to A, strong-arm those 3, make sure that they're going to vote correct so we have our 50 votes, make sure that Kamala Harris is going to vote correct to break the tie, which I think she would, because there'd be immense political pressure to do so. And Joe Biden has to agree to overrule or fire the Senate Parliamentarian to get it included into one of these bills via budget reconciliation. That's what we should be pressuring for. I think that's the probably has the highest likelihood of working. I think that if we can really make sure that the Democrats vote correct and then use Biden's fact that he's already said he's the PRO Act, to get him to just simply overrule the Parliamentarian. He does not have to fire her like the Bush administration did with their Parliamentarian when they wanted to get something done. Just overrule her. Say, I disagree, but you can keep your job, and we're going to push the PRO Act through like the Families Plan. So the PRO Act is extremely important for 2 reasons, guys. The main reason is that it bans right-to-work laws, which are anti-union laws. And as you guys know, I've said on this show multiple times, states that have right-to-work laws, their people make a lot more money in other states because they're allowed to unionize. It's something like $1,200 a year in states that do not have right-to-work laws because they can bargain for higher wages. That's what unions do for you. This PRO Act bans right-to-work laws, which is the biggest thing that it does. Among other things that it does on that front, the other big thing is that it really makes union busting, it really clamps down on union busting. Now, union busting is illegal already, but it's not really enforced, especially at some of these huge companies that, like Amazon, Walmart, they can get away with whatever they want. They treat their workers horribly, and we've seen this time and time again. So what it really does is it really, really enforces laws that will make sure that union busting doesn't happen anymore. That is huge. And there's other things like you can't be fired if you go on strike, stuff like that. It's a very, very good bill. That's why it needs to pass. Now, why is it more important than something like maybe even a public option or a $15 minimum wage? Easy. Unionization is going to lead to everybody being able to bargain for those things through their job. And we've seen examples like the Scandinavian countries, and I always like to cite Finland, has something like an 81 to 82% unionization rate, whereas the United States has under 10. And Finland does not need a minimum wage because they're so highly unionized that their wages are bargained for and rebargained for and rebargained for every single year, and they always go up. So they have a minimum wage that's like over $22 an hour over there. But it's not a set minimum wage. Unionization took care of it, and it will never drop because the unionization is so strong. So that's one thing you can get done just via making sure that we highly unionize in this country. But beyond that, healthcare. They're not going to pass Medicare for All. Joe Biden said he would veto it, and the squad isn't going to get it through the House, and it would never make it through the Senate anyway. Nobody's pulling strings for Medicare for All anymore. So it's lost, thanks to the squad for that. But let's move on. If you move on to highly pushing things like the PRO Act, and we get a higher amount of unionization in the United States, then a lot more people will be able to bargain for health care from their jobs. And it might end up that some of these large corporations, if they get highly unionized, will have to offer a lot better benefits to their workers, so you end up with good health care through your work because of the union. So that's why I'm saying it's kind of two birds with one stone, and it's more than that, guys. When you have high amount of unionization, you can bargain for whatever you want. So that's why it is kind of actually more important for us to get the PRO Act done than even the $15 minimum wage, which is why this has to be what we focus on heavily as far as what gets included in these next two bills. The PRO Act must be in there. It must be in there. And we have two ways. We can either make sure that Joe Biden does what I think he should do, which is just overrule the Parliamentarian and get those 3 senators on board, push it through budget reconciliation and the families plan, or, and I didn't explain this, he has to abolish the filibuster, or at least reform it. That's the only way you're going to get around those 10 Republicans in the Senate if you want to go through normal order. So we have to push him on both fronts. He should do both anyway, just to get out of his own way. But abolish the filibuster, stop tripping over your own feet, stop making excuses, and just agree that you're going to overrule the Parliamentarian if she makes up some bullshit about how a PRO Act can't be in there. If we can push Biden down one of these two avenues, we might actually get it done because he is on record saying he's for the PRO Act. So this has a much better chance of success, and it would be monumental for other things like healthcare and a minimum wage if we could just get this done, guys. So push the PRO Act, pay attention to it, make sure they can't exclude it like they did with the $15 minimum wage, make sure the squad's going to push it. We have to be attacking this on all fronts and get this thing included somehow, because it can affect so many other things positively. So that's what I got to say about that. Again, I'm going to do at least 3 or 4 more episodes today, but since Medicare for All is gone, $15 minimum wage is gone, the only way we're going to get wages and healthcare is going to be pushing unionization. Richard Wolff would agree with me. So I'll talk to you guys later.